What it do, y'all? Today I got another video for you, and yes, I am watching RDC in the back. Today we're reacting to how it feels to die in every prehistoric era. Let's get right into it. Shout out to Spino Snack for the vid.
Really, everyone wins. Except for you, obviously, because you'll be dead. Let's start with the Precambrian. So you land on a beach, which sounds nice until you realize the beach is made of black volcanic rocks that are hot enough to cook on. And the sky looks wrong. Not sunset wrong, just wrong. It's this sort of hazy orange brown that makes you think something went bad in the atmosphere. And you would be right, because basically everything went bad in the atmosphere. You take a breath because that's what humans do, and nothing happens. Your lungs pull in air and then immediately go into panic mode because there's no oxygen in it, just carbon dioxide and nitrogen and some other gases that aren't doing you any favors. It's not that the air is poison exactly, it's just that the air is not food for your lungs. And your body figures this out in about 3 seconds. Now your heart starts doing this thing where it beats faster and faster because it's trying to get oxygen to your brain, except there isn't any oxygen. So really your heart is just working overtime for no reason, which is honestly pretty sad if you think about it. You can't think about it though, because your vision is already going dark around the edges, and you're maybe noticing that your skin is starting to feel like it's on fire. That is the sun, by the way, just directly microwaving you with ultraviolet light, because the ozone layer doesn't exist yet, and won't exist for another billion years or so. The ground is burning your feet through your shoes, the sun is cooking you from above, and your lungs are trying to breathe something that might as well be nothing.
So, in hindsight, you're just telling me to get fucked behind by a big black dude named Johnny Sins with a 12-inch cock going down my ass. Yeah, just kill me.
2 minutes is about all you get before your brain shuts off from lack of oxygen, which happens faster than you would think.
By the way, for all those knowing, there are some adults that watch my account that was strictly clip farm. I like women.
You would probably fall over at some point. You would fall face first into some bacterial slime that's growing in the rocks, which is the only life on the entire planet right now. Your last sensation is heat and the feeling of suffocating. And then your brain just stops working because it ran out of fuel. There's no one around to care because evolution hasn't invented caring yet. The good news is that in the next era, oxygen exists and you can actually breathe. The bad news is now things are going to come and eat you. So you show up in the Cambrian and immediately your lungs work, which feels incredible after the last disaster. The air has oxygen in it now, about the same amount as today. And for a few seconds, you're just standing there breathing and feeling like maybe this won't be so bad.
The teen years can be rocky, and growing up in a military family does not make them easier.
The temperature is warm, but not kill you warm, more tropical. You're on this rocky coastline looking out at clear blue water. The land is still basically empty. There's no trees or grass or anything. It's just bare rock and some dark crusty stuff that might be algae, but the ocean looks inviting and you are extremely thirsty. You walk into the water because you're thinking maybe you can find something to drink or at least cool off. And the water is bathwater warm and clear enough to see your feet. You're wading out to maybe waist deep when something big moves in the water near you. And this is when you learn the Cambrian Ocean is fully stocked with things that think you look edible. The thing coming at you is called Anomalocaris, which is a name that doesn't really prepare you for what it actually is. It is 3 feet long. It looks like someone tried to make a shrimp but gave up halfway and added horror movie parts instead. With these 2 long arms in front that have spikes all over them. It grabs your leg with those spike arms, and immediately you understand that this is not a curious animal. This is a predator that knows what it's doing. In fact, this is the first apex predator. The spikes dig into your calf muscle and the animal twists, trying to pull you under or just hold you still. And its mouth is this circular nightmare of serrated teeth that start scraping at your leg like it's trying to core an apple. You're trying to kick free, but the barbs on its arms are dug in deep, and the water around you is clouding up with blood because you're bleeding from multiple puncture wounds. Eventually, you either drown because it dragged you under and you can't get back up, or you manage to get away and then die later from infection because that water is full of bacteria and your leg is full of holes. Either way, the ocean has filed you under prey.
Alright, so this time you're telling me no matter what I do, I'm fucked. It's like choosing between, do you want to... I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna get canceled. I somehow turn off my sound buzzer.
how you would die in the prehistoric times, go ahead and hit the like button because apparently we found your thing. Subscribe to if you want more of this content, and follow me on TikTok and Instagram where I post stuff that's
I like it.
somehow too weird even for these types of videos, which should probably concern both of us. Again, maybe land is better. Well, we're moving on to the Devonian, and the land has trees now, which is
No.
progress, even if they're not normal trees. You're in this humid swamp forest full of giant ferns and weird scale bark trees that look like they're covered in snakeskin, and everything is dripping wet and hot. The good news is that you can breathe fine, and even better news is there's actual fresh water here. Streams and rivers are running through the forest. You've been drinking salt water or nothing for a while now, so when you see a river, you basically run towards it, and this is your first mistake. The river's brown and slow moving. It's warm enough that you can wade right in, and you're thinking you'll drink some water, maybe cool off, because the humidity in this place is genuinely insane. You're knee deep in the water, bending down a drink, when the thing that's been sitting in the deeper part decides that you're interesting. What you're dealing with
What the fuck is that?
is Dunkleosteus, which is a fish in the same way a chainsaw is a kitchen tool. It is 20 feet long, covered in armor plating, and instead of teeth, it has these bony blade things.
It does look good. I ain't gonna lie. It look like I could shut. Like if it was like a regular fish, I probably could shut my dick in it, especially if I'm horny during this era. But other than that,
That work like scissors, or more accurately,
I'm actually not
a
kidding about that,
guillotine.
dude.
The jaws
Like,
can bite
from
with about the
that
same
bad.
force as a T-Rex is going to manage in another 100 million years, which means that those blade jaws can cut through bone without much trouble. You don't see it coming because it's been sitting still in the murky water looking like a rock or a log, and the first you know about it is when the water explodes next to you and something massive clamps around your waist. The pressure is immediate and your ribs are breaking. Multiple ribs are breaking at once, and then the blades are cutting through your skin and muscle, and you're being pulled backward into deeper water. There's no fighting this. You're in shock from your chest being crushed, and you're probably already dying from internal bleeding. The fish drags you under and thrashes once, which tears you in half. The last thing you process is water flooding your lungs and everything going dark. Your body sinks, and the fish eats whatever's left. So water is definitely not the safe option. Well, in the next era, you're staying on dry land the whole time, so maybe this will be better. Well, actually not, because in the Carboniferous, staying on land works for about 15 minutes until you realize land has developed its own problems. The whole planet decided to become a forest. It's just these massive swamps full of trees that look like they're trying too hard, covered in diamond patterns and growing straight up to about 100 feet. Everything is wet.
Nigga, y'all know dragonflies used to be huge as fuck. Like they used to be like the biggest, I guess, big as my monitor.
And green, and the
If
air feels
insects-
thick in a
if
way that's
insects
hard
were
to
a thing
describe.
nowadays, we'd
It's
be
heavy
fried.
almost, and there's a
Especially
reason for
mosquitoes.
that. Oxygen levels hit 35% during this time, which is way higher than what you're used to. And at first this feels amazing because you can breathe deep and your muscles have all of this extra fuel, and you're thinking maybe this is the first
much.
era that doesn't immediately want you dead. But then you notice the bugs. The air is full of dragonflies that have 2-foot wingspans, and they're not the problem exactly. They're just the warning. The problem is everything else that crawled out of the nightmare factory Earth
Fucking
apparently built during this time. You're walking through the undergrowth trying to find something to eat when you almost step on what looks like a giant millipede, except it's longer than you are tall and thicker than your leg, just sliding through the leaf litter eating dead plants. That one's actually harmless, or at least it's not interested in you, but it's the size that matters because now you understand the rule here, which is that arthropods scale with oxygen, and during this time, oxygen is out of control. But then the scorpion finds you near a pool of standing water, probably because you made too much noise, or it smelled you, or it just got lucky. This thing is about the size of a large dog, shiny black with pincers that open and close while it figures out if you're food or threat. You freeze because you're not stupid, but then it rushes forward faster than you expected and drives its stinger into your calf, and the pain is immediate and spectacular. The venom burns going in, spreading hot and electric up your leg, and within a few minutes that leg stops working because the neurotoxin is shutting down the signals between your brain and your muscles. Your heart starts beating wrong, either too fast or skipping, and breathing becomes this manual thing you have to remind yourself to do. The venom kills you slowly for the next hour through respiratory failure. Or maybe you just pass out and then one of the other giant arthropods finds you and decides you're dinner. Bones or receipts either way. Turns out high oxygen has a cost. Cost is that bugs can now kill you. Luckily for you, the next era drops oxygen way down. And somehow that makes everything worse because now the things trying to kill you have lungs that work better than yours do. The Permian is what happens when Earth decides to run a fever. You're standing in a desert that stretches forever, with red sand and rocks baking under a sun that feels personal about it. The air is thin in your lungs because oxygen dropped to 16%. Breathing feels like you're at the top of a mountain, which you're not, you're just in hell's driveway, and your body is not handling it well. Every breath
I'm gonna
takes
be right
effort,
back.
and you're not getting enough oxygen even when you're standing still, which is a problem because you need to move or the heat is going to cook you. It's over 100 degrees and there's no shade anywhere. Just open scrubland with some tough plants that look like they're barely hanging on. Water is the main concern, and you manage to find some in a dried up riverbed where a little pool is left over from the last rain that might have been weeks ago. You drink it even though it tastes like minerals and dirt, because the alternative is dying of thirst in the next 6 hours. The second concern is food, and there isn't much. Maybe some seeds or a lizard if you can catch one. You're weak from the heat and the thin air, and by the time night comes, you've managed to get a small fire going with some dead brush, mostly because you know what happens to things that don't have fire when the sun goes down. What happens is a pack of gorgonopsids smells you from about a mile away and decides to investigate. These things are not quite mammals and they're not quite reptiles. They're sitting in this weird middle zone evolution was testing out, and they're about the size of a wolf with heads that look wrong and two huge saber teeth coming down from the upper jaw. They hunt in groups and they're smart enough to circle around your fire, staying just outside the light, and you can hear them making these hissing growl sounds while they figure out their approach. One of them rushes in to test your defense and you swing a burning stick at it. It backs off, but now they know you're scared and tired and alone. The alpha, or the bolus one, or just the hungriest comes in from the side while you're watching the others, hits you from behind and sinks those saber teeth into your shoulder and neck. Teeth are designed to slice through muscle and hit arteries, and they do, and you're bleeding heavily while the rest of the pack comes in to finish the job. They tear into you while you're still trying to process what just happened, and shock takes over before the pain gets too detailed. Your body becomes food for animals that evolution is going to delete in a few million years, which doesn't matter to you because it doesn't help you right now. And if you thought saber-toothed proto-mammals were the ceiling of prehistoric horror, the next era is when someone decided to invent dinosaurs and see what happens. It's the Triassic. Dinosaurs exist now, which sounds like the main problem until you realize that early dinosaurs were actually pretty small. The things you actually need to worry about are the giant land crocodiles that evolution built, but was still figuring out what dinosaurs should even be. The temperature is still hot and dry. Oxygen is slowly climbing back up, but it's not there yet, and you're in this scrubland with scattered trees and a serious need for water. You follow some tracks in the dirt. These are three-toed prints that might be from an early dinosaur, and four-legged drag marks that could be anything, and they lead you to a water hole. The water hole is one of those places where every animal has to show up eventually because water is not optional, and this means predators know how to wait here. You're being careful, looking around before you approach, but what you're looking for is something in the water or something hiding in the brush, and you miss the thing that's lying flat on the rocks about 30 feet away. Pastosuchus is basically a crocodile that decided land was better than water. It's 20 feet long, walking on four legs that hold its body up off the ground instead of sprawling out to the sides. It looks armored and ancient and wrong, with a huge head full of teeth that are made for biting through bones. It was lying still enough that you thought it was a log or a rock formation in the distance, and the way you find out you're wrong is when it moves, going from perfectly still to running at you in about a second. These things can sprint when they need to, and you try to run, but you're not winning this race. It hits you from the side, all of that weight and momentum knocking you sideways into the dirt, and then the jaws close on your leg and the pressure is instant. Bones break and the teeth go deep into muscle, and it starts shaking its head side to side, which is it either trying to rip your leg off or just how it naturally kills things. You are screaming and trying to hit it or push it off, and that's when it does the death roll, which is exactly what it sounds like. It spins its whole body with with your leg in its mouth, and your knee joint twists and tears, and something in your hip pops. The pain is so big and painful, your brain can't
So what I'm hearing is in this one, I'm fucked either way.
process it all at once. The roll probably kills you through shock and blood loss before the actual eating even starts. And that might be the only good news you get in this entire scenario. The Triassic made crocodiles walk on land and hunt like wolves. This was their legacy, but those are basically baby dinosaurs compared to what's coming, because the next era is where evolution stopped messing around and built some actual monsters. It's the Jurassic, and the forests come back. Real forest this time, with trees that make sense and ferns everywhere, and actual rainfall that doesn't feel like a punishment from God. And for the first time since you started this nightmare tour of Earth's history, you're thinking, maybe for once this could work out. The air has oxygen again. Lots of it, enough that breathing feels easy and your muscles aren't screaming at you constantly. There are streams with clean water and the temperature is warm but not murder hot, and you can hear animal sounds in the distance, which means there's food around somewhere. You're walking through this forest that honestly looks pretty nice, past trees that tower overhead and break up the sunlight. And you're so focused on not dying from heat or thirst or thin air that you forget to think about what else lives here. What lives here are sauropods, those long-necked dinosaurs that weigh more than a house, and you see a few of them through the trees just casually
If you see those, run.
eating leaves from the canopy while their feet leave prints in the ground deep enough to hide a person. They don't care about you because you're too small to register as anything, which is almost nice until you realize their tails are swinging around at head height and could cave in your skull by accident. You're giving them space and moving through a clearing when you smell something dead, that thick, rotting meat smell that makes your stomach turn. And there's a half-eaten corpse of some plant eater in the grass ahead with flies swarming it. This is when you learn that Allosaurus doesn't just kill and eat on the spot. It leaves food for later and it comes back to it. And right now it's coming back. 3 of them actually, because they hunt in groups when the food is big enough to share. Each one is about 30 feet long, walking on 2 legs with tiny arms that don't seem useful and a head that's all jaw and teeth. They spot you immediately because their eyes are on the front of their heads and they're built for tracking movement. And you're moving because you're backing away slowly while your brain tries to decide if running would help you. It wouldn't. They're faster than you and they know it. And when one of them breaks into a run, the other 2 follow because pack tactics are in the job description. You try anyway because standing still while a dinosaur sprints at you just feels wrong. And you maybe make it 50 feet before the lead predator catches up and hits you from behind with its head, knocking you flat. The weight of it pins you down, 1 foot on your back, pressing you to the dirt, and then it bites down on your neck and shoulder, and the teeth go deep enough to crack your collarbone and sever whatever arteries are trying to keep you alive. The other 2 move in to feed while you're still technically alive, and shock does you the favor of cutting off most of the pain before your brain realizes what's happening to the rest of you. That's the Jurassic. Pretty forests, giant animals, and a food chain that you do not rank high on. But those dinosaurs are practically the prototype versions, because the next era is when evolution spent another 80 million years upgrading them into something worse. Cretaceous Earth looks almost normal if you don't think about it too hard, with actual flowers growing on plants and forests that have leaves that you might recognize if you squint hard enough. Oxygen is up around 30% again, which your body loves, and the climate is warm but stable enough that you're not immediately dying from exposure. You're thinking this might be the first era finally where survival is possible for more than a day, but at least the wrongness takes a few hours to find you. There are dinosaurs everywhere now, every size and type, from duck-billed herds moving through meadows to armored tanks with tails that could break your spine if you got too close. It's loud out here. Animal calls are echoing through the trees, and the noise gives you something to track and avoid. The problem is that the predators here are better at this than you are at hiding. You're near a river trying to catch fish or find something edible, staying low and quiet, when you notice the birds go silent and the smaller animals stop moving. That's your only warning before a pack of dromaeosaurs come out of the undergrowth. 6 of them spread out in half a circle, each one about the size of a human but built entirely for killing things. They have these giant claws on their back feet that are hooked and sharp, and their eyes are focused forward with the kind of intelligence that makes you understand that these things are thinking through their attack. One of them makes a clicking sound and the others respond, and they're communicating tactics, which is deeply unfair for you. You grab a stick because that's all you have.
How the fuck they get cons and I don't? I gotta say it like this. But I'm dating at home, so.
The pack tests you by having one dart in and out while the others watch how you react. You swing and miss, and they learn from that. The next time, two come at you from different angles. You turn to face one, and the other one hits you from behind, jumping onto your back and sinking that giant toe claw into your side while its hand claws grab for the kill. The pain is immediate and sharp, and you're trying to throw it off when another one lunges for your leg and opens a gash from knee to ankle. They're working you down, taking turns slashing and retreating, and you're bleeding from multiple cuts before one of them decides to end it and goes for your throat. The claw hits your cardioid and the blood pressure drops fast enough that your vision goes dark before you can process anything else. Your body drops and the pack feeds. And somewhere in the trees, a Tyrannosaurus smells blood and starts moving this direction to see if there's anything worth stealing. The Cretaceous refined hunting into a team sport, and you were the ball. Eventually, an asteroid shows up and fixes the whole dinosaur everywhere problem, but that takes another 15 million years. For now, this is the worst Earth has ever been at keeping humans alive, which is saying something given where we started. Now let's move on to the Paleogene. The dinosaurs are gone when you show up here, which sounds great until you see what replaced them. You're in a tropical jungle that makes the previous forest look like parking lots. Everything is dripping and hot and so humid that you can barely see 20 feet through mist. The temperature hovers around 90 degrees all day and doesn't drop much at night, and the air is thick with moisture and the smell of rotting plants and something else that you can't place. There are mammals now, weird ones, and birds that walk on the ground because flight apparently seemed optional to them. The good news is that there's water everywhere and fruit actually exists for the first time in your entire journey through prehistory. Actual edible fruit hanging from trees that you can eat without cooking or praying it doesn't poison you. The bad news is that every mosquito bite you're getting carries something your immune system has never seen. Every cut is getting infected in the humidity, and your body is fighting battles on multiple fronts against microbes that have had millions of years to perfect their strategies. You've been here 3 days, and you have a fever that comes and goes. Your lymph nodes are swollen, and you're pretty sure something laid eggs under your skin because there's itching in places that shouldn't itch, but you're still moving and eating and drinking, which is better than most eras have managed. So you're still counting this as a partial win. The thing that ends you is a terror bird, which is evolution's answer to the question, what if we made a predator out of a chicken but made it metal? This chicken stands about 6 feet tall. It can't fly. It has a beak that's designed to crack skulls open and tear meat. It's been tracking
At that point, suck my dick.
You for the last hour because you're feverish and moving slow and making mistakes. And when it decides that you're weak enough, it just walks out of the brush and comes at you directly because it doesn't need to be sneaky. You try to run, but your infected leg isn't working right and you stumble. And the bird is on you in seconds. The beak hits the back of your head first, crushing through skull bone with a sound that you hear from inside your own head. And that's probably the blow that kills you, even though the bird keeps hitting you a few more times to make sure. It starts eating before you've completely stopped moving, which is standard procedure for predators and deeply uncomfortable for you for about 10 seconds before your brain stops keeping track. Paleogene has flowers and fruit and mammals that are almost familiar. The microbes here are the real predators, and they've been working on you since day one. The bird just finished what the bacteria started. We're getting close to the present now, which should mean that things are finally getting safer. But that is wrong. They are not getting safer. We now land in the Quaternary. The cold hits you before you even open your eyes. It's the kind of cold that makes your chest hurt when you breathe and your fingers go numb at about 30 seconds. You're in the Ice Age now, 50,000 years ago. And the first thing you notice is that you can see your breath, and the second thing is that you're standing on frozen grass in the middle of a plain that goes on forever. The sky is gray and low. The sun is weak even at midday, and there's a wall of ice on the northern horizon that's just the edge of a glacier covering half of Europe. This is the closest you've gotten to your own time. Close enough that the air feels right and the land looks almost normal. And you're gonna die here anyway because the temperature is sitting at about 20 degrees and you don't have the right clothes for this. Hypothermia works faster than you would think, especially when you're already tired from the 9 previous eras of getting murdered by nature. Your body starts pulling blood away from your extremities to keep your core warm. warm, which means your fingers and toes stop working right and turn blue, and you're shivering hard enough that it's difficult to walk straight. You need fire and shelter immediately. You manage fire because you've gotten good at that by now. You've had lots of times to practice that skill by scraping a spark onto some dry grass and nursing it into something that puts out heat. The shelter is harder because there's no cave nearby, and building something out of frozen dirt and dead grass is not gonna go well. Night comes early this far north, and it drops under 20 degrees. Your fire is the only thing keeping you from freezing alive. What you don't know is that smoke and firelight travel far in this empty landscape, and every predator within a few miles can see exactly where you are. Cave hyenas hunt in packs here, and they're bigger than modern ones and meaner. And they've learned that fire usually means food, because the things that make fire are also made of meat. You hear them before they see you. You hear that whooping laugh sound they make while communicating, and then you see the eyes reflecting your firelight. 6 or 7 of them are forming a circle just outside the warm zone. You throw sticks.
That was a grown-ass man, by the way, with probably 5 kids saying 6, 7.
And yell and try to make yourself bigger, which works for a while because they're cautious about the fire, but you're also exhausted and freezing and starting to make mistakes. One of them rushes in to test you and you don't react fast enough. It grabs your ankle and pulls you away from the flames before you can stop it. The others move in once you're down. The pack tactics are efficient and brutal. They go for your legs first to keep you from running, then your arms when you try to fight, and one clamps onto your throat and holds while you're trying to breathe through the blood. The cold helps a little because shock sets in faster when your body temperature is already dropping, and you're unconscious before they start feeding on their dinner. Your bones get scattered across the steppe and covered by snow. In the spring, some early humans might find a few pieces and wonder what happened here, but probably not, because death was common and bodies were everywhere. They would just think you were another person during this time that suffered the brutal fate they all worried about. You made it to within 50,000 years of home, close enough to almost see it. And the Ice Age killed you the same way it killed plenty of actual humans who were better prepared and had groups to help them survive. The ecosystem did not approve of humans doing a solo attempt. So here is what we've learned. Across 4 billion years of Earth's history, there's maybe a 10,000 year window where a human can exist without the planet immediately trying to end them. And you're living in it right now. Every other era we covered had at least one thing that was completely incompatible with human survival, whether that was unbreathable air, or water full of giant predators, or bugs the size of your couch, or just cold that treated your body like a freezer treats its meat. The dinosaurs had 150 million years to run this place, and they built an ecosystem where everything was either gigantic or venomous, or sometimes both. And even after they left, the replacements were somehow worse, just in smaller packages. Nature spent billions of years testing different ways to kill things, and it got very good at it. The fact that you can walk outside right now without suffocating or getting eaten or frozen to death is basically a statistical accident. It's a narrow slice of time where the temperature was just right enough and the oxygen levels are just right enough, and the predators have learned that attacking humans brings consequences just the right amount of times. Every era before this was some version of a death trap, just with different specific methods for killing you. And the only lesson here is that time travel is a terrible idea, and you should appreciate the boring normal present while you're allowed to just exist. Thanks for watching me talk about the horrible ways to die in prehistory. If you want more videos just like this, let me know down in the comments below.
Alright, thank you. That was a long video. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of tired. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna probably have this uploaded tomorrow. Actually, I'll upload it tonight. I'm gonna see y'all later.